next, even though we haven't seen it for a bit. Red-white aggro.
Yeah, surprising amount of red-white aggro here. Not sure what the top tables exactly look like, if we're even going to see any in the top 8, but the most represented deck on day 2 of competition.
A Plains to start here for Musser. A Llanowar Waste there for Bowman. Musser will deploy a Caves of Koilos. Leads me to believe he does not have a Course of Crew Fix in his hand. And we'll pass the turn back over to Bowman. Bowman will play a Windswept Heath and pass back to Musser. Sandsep Citadel, the draw here for Dan. Forest will come down, and now it's time to read some bones. So Dan will scry 2, lose 2, and eventually draw 2 cards before passing his turn back over to Jeremy.
And you can see Dan, definitely shaping up to be the control deck in this matchup. More card drawing, more removal. Jeremy the aggressor, even though he has a lot of the same elements.
Jeremy has land number 3, but no card drawing spell, at least it seems just yet. Does have 4 copies of Abzan Charm and access to 3 copies of Read the Bones after sideboard, as Musser will deploy a Forest, and he'll have the first threat here in Sorin.
And I like playing the Planeswalker here instead of going for Siege Rhino because, Dan can sense out there's a reasonable chance that Abzan Charm is in Jeremy's hand. If it's Hero's Downfall, you're better off with the Planeswalker, and if it's Abzan Charm, you're way better off with the Planeswalker.
There's Hero's Downfall to take care of the Planeswalker, leaving behind the Vampire token, as you mentioned. So some good value there. Caves will come in. Bowman going to sacrifice his Windswept Heath, we believe. And he will. We'll see what land he wants to search up here, either a Forest or a Plains. I'll go with the Forest. And you have to imagine some sort of spell on the way.
Perhaps the Siege Rhino, perhaps his own Planeswalker.
Yep. Would love to talk to Jeremy and see just how good Whisperwood Elemental has been for him. Again, 3 in the main deck.
When you're 11-2 and you're playing 3 copies of a card in your main deck, it's usually been good for you.
And there is the Rhino. So a little drain, a little gain here for Bowman. We'll head back Musser's way. Dan will pick up a card here. Looks like a Temple of Malady. This is an Abzan Charm, perhaps, and it is. Clear that Rhino out of the way. He wants that dead right away. There is the Temple he's drawn for the turn. Leave the top card on top. Come across here with that Vampire token from Sorin. And pass the turn back over to Bowman. Bowman will draw. Copy of Thoughtseize. And looks like he will cast the powerful discard spell. You'll see a hand here of Hero's Downfall. Tasker, the Golden Fang, Siege Rhino, along with Sandsep Citadel and a Caves of Koilos. Can't forget that Musser did leave the top card on top of his deck from that Temple very quickly.
Because Dan is getting to the point now where he can play Tasker and activate in the same turn, I almost feel like that forces Jeremy's hand to remove it here. The game is setting up to be this long attrition battle, and I just don't think he can really digest another 2-for-1 here. He's already down due to Dan's Read the Bones, the fact that there's still a Vampire token in play, which is not quite worth a full card, but still something. And I think a Tasker activation is something he should avoid here.
He's going to think it through. He's going to take care of Siege Rhino. Not a bad choice either, as now he's going to Read the Bones, which will make him lose 2, but it'll get to scry 2 and then draw 2. Nissa Worldwaker among the cards he's looking at right now. And Bowman and Musser here, 2 of the 8 players to make day 2 with Abzan mid-range. 116 players here in day 2. Here comes Tom Ross in the air for 2 points of damage. Now Dan will play Caves. At least we think. Can do a little bit of math here, perhaps. And now he's able to delve the graveyard away, play Tasker, and pass the turn back.
And this is an enviable position for Dan to be in, where he's ahead on the board and ahead in the attrition battle. So Jeremy's got to either keep up with the card advantage fight and fall further behind on the board, or try to keep up on the board and fall behind in the card advantage battle.
We haven't seen really Tasker run away with the game yet. and really flex its muscles, but it's always been a situation where, well, you better answer this.
Exactly. And it's probably Jeremy's whole turn to answer it, or very close to it. And Dan still gets his activation, still gets to keep trucking along with the Vampire. And in the Abzan mid-range matchup, it's not often about life total in the sense that it's, this really beat down heavy, you get burned out all the time thing, but there's these big swings, Siege Rhinos in both decks. It does add up. Your life total is not the resources it is in a mono red mirror match, but you also can't ignore it like you can in, say, a blue-black control mirror match.
The planes will be searched up via Windswept Heath. Here's 6 mana. So it's Elspeth to try to take over now. And we'll see if the elevator goes up or down here. And it's going up, so 3 soldier tokens will come in. Tasker activation, 2 cards, Thoughtseize and Windswept Heath. So Thoughtseize is the only option there for Bowman to select, so that's what Musser will get from Tasker. But hey, draw cards, not so bad, even if it is a Thoughtseize. Musser going to cast that Thoughtseize now. See what Bowman's working with a Nissa and a Johnny, a Wishwood Elemental, and an Utterin. Expensive cards, but good ones.
Yeah, I mean, he's 1 spell per turn territory here, so that's the downside, but he's got a lot of power in his hand. I'm curious to see if Dan thinks he can just win by being a little bit faster and a little bit smoother here. He can take the Utter End and say, these plays in your hand, they take your whole turn, and I think that I can keep up with them. I think it's just very hard to poke a hole in this hand by taking one of the threat cards, because it's pretty redundant.
And there goes the Utter End. The removal spell will bite the dust. Sansep said it'll be the land that Musser plays. Now it's time to figure out how to attack. He's going to use Hero's Downfall to get that Elspeth off the table. And at least in the air with the Vampire token.
I think part of the reason that Dan's holding back here with the Tassiger is it cuts out the line of cast a Ajani and pump up all of my creatures to attack, or cast Nissa and make a 4/4. The 4/5 on defense does a lot of work against both of those lines of play. While the Vampire is still trucking along in the air. And you can go all the way back to the 4th turn of the game, where Dan elected to play Sorin over the Siege Rhino, and he's still reaping the benefits of that decision.
Yeah. That has certainly been a noticeable difference. Bowman's draw for the turn was Elspeth. So he can play that song and dance again if he'd like. Wasn't so bad the first time. He said, all right, I guess I'll do it a second time. This time he's going to take down Tasker, however, and now get in for 3 points of damage.
He didn't have access to that play last turn. I mean, at this point, he's got enough power in his hand where he can, I think, afford to throw away the Elspeth, but Dan's got the follow-up.
Yeah. The attack from the Vampire will take care of Jeremy's Elspeth, and now Musser has an Elspeth of his own, 3 soldiers on the way. And it's not a bad way to turn the tide. Bowman will draw a copy of Abzan Charm. And we know with Abzan midrange, if it can get into 2 spell per turn territory, very tough deck to beat, but Jeremy's not there yet.
No, he hasn't. And that's why the delve cards in some mixture are so important. It almost doesn't matter what they are. It can be Tassiger, it can be Murderous Cut. You just have to break serve at some point in the game where you make a high impact 5 mana play, follow it up with something good for 1 mana, and then take it from there.
Nissa will join the battlefield. Looks as though it's making a 4/4. Of course, the elevator only goes up on that card, and now Bowman coming into the red zone. All these creatures going towards Elspeth. Jeremy feeling as though he needs to get that thing off of the table. And Dan willing to trade soldiers with soldiers. And Elspeth will go down to 1.
Very good turn there for Dan. I mean, it was Jeremy's entire turn, and Elspeth is still in play. Elspeth, an easy place to start. 3 more soldier tokens going to come in as they can't take down.
Unless we're looking at a copy of Read the Bones among other cards in his hand. Life totals are tight right now, though. Both players at 9.
And remember that land tramples, and there's an Ajani in hand to pump, so Dan can't be too liberal with how he attacks here and how he leaves back blockers. He's at 9.
Read the Bones. Going to put him down to 7. Going to look at a couple of cards here. Being able to use Caves of Koilos there, of course, because there's an Urborg in play. One on top, one on bottom is what Musser has decided. So he'll take 2 cards. Looks like Thoughtseize is one of them.
I believe he kept Elspeth as well.
Sure.
In so many lines of play here. He can go after Nissa, he can try to avoid it. He can Thoughtseize here, he can ignore it and try to protect his life total.
It's tough to say.
He's got this Abzan Charm, which can be defense against a land or card drawing or an ability to pump his vampire. There's a lot of options here for the Dan.
Does he even cast the Thoughtseize? Is it 7? Could go down to 5 to cast it. Just 2 points of damage. We'll see where it's going. Going towards Nissa. Wants to try to get that off the table. And just pass the turn back. Not comfortable casting Thoughtseize. Has an idea what's in Jeremy's hand from prior Thoughtseize, but certainly not comfortable casting one just yet as Bowman draws a forest for the turn.
Yep. And the other thing is, all other things being equal, you might as well wait if you think that both 5-mana plays are a push. Because you can Thoughtseize whatever Jeremy drew this turn, which might be better than taking the other 5-drop.
Now, Jeremy's the one with some thinking to do. Life total super tight. A lot on the line.
And there's also just, on top of the complexity of Jeremy's hand, there's also the, what is going on with Dan's hand, and why would he attack my Nissa down to 2?
And why doesn't he just come after me?
Do I need to try to go after Elspeth here? Do I need to do something with my mana instead with Nissa instead of making another 4/4?
It's interesting because we talked about how Jeremy isn't exactly in 2-spell per turn territory, but oddly enough, in a way he kind of is if he wants to go untapping with Nissa. But he's made his choice. He'll play an Ajani after that Nissa activation. Dano consults his hand, and this is where Abzan Charm looks really good.
Yeah, this is, again, going to be a lot of Jeremy's turn, especially if he uses the Ajani to pump up one of his tokens.
Looks like he's going to diversify counters a little bit here. The red zone is where he's headed. We'll see where these creatures are going. You've got the 5-power Llanowar Waste going at Elspeth, the 6-power Caves of Koilos going at Dan. Can't forget that these lands do trample. And I kind of like the split of the attack here a little bit.
Yeah, I think that you need to try to put Elspeth under some duress with a smaller one. Though it is worth noting that he did have a lethal attack.
Yeah.
He did have a straight lethal attack.
So Abzan Charm takes down the big one. Elspeth bites the dust. Musser's still alive, and he's got some attackers here. And maybe very wisely not casting that Thoughtseize the prior turn, but casting it now as he goes down to 5.
No, I like that play a lot.
Abzan Charm. Whisperwood Elemental. The Elemental will bite the dust. Charm is left over. Musser with the option to take out a Planeswalker here in some fashion.
Yeah, with the Elspeth left over, the line of play I think that I like is use 3 power to take out Nissa, send 2 points to Jeremy, play the Elspeth and minus it. You leave him with an empty board, no Nissa, so your Planeswalker's under no threat next turn. And it puts a lot of pressure on that Ajani of Jeremy's to find something really substantial.
Looks like Dan is going to agree with your line of play. You saw Elspeth come down in minus. That'll take care of the land. Nissa will bite the dust. Bowman goes down to 7. Ajani's going to have to do something really impressive now. Bowman draw Courser of Krufix. So he'll take Ajani up. Take a look. A Forest, the Liliana Vest, a Whisperwood Elemental. Among the cards he's looking at right now.
Attention, modern Premier IQ competitors. That is time around. Again, modern players, that is time around. Active players, please finish your turn. You'll receive 5 additional turns.
What will Bowman select?
There is no judge. Please call the line.
He's under the gun in multiple ways right now, and that doesn't even account for the cards that are in Musser's hand, which he has no idea.
Yeah, but Dan is very low on life himself.
Yeah.
I mean, this game is still very much in play. Any creature that Jeremy gets to attack with here can be augmented by Ajani, so this is not easy for either player to navigate.
Well, it's Whisperwood Elemental, and that's the choice. The 5-mana 4/4 from Fate Reforged at the beginning of your end step, manifest the top card of your library. So there that comes.
This is our first manifest token of the weekend.
Yes, it is. You can, of course, sacrifice Whisperwood Elemental on their turn. Face up non-token creatures you control. Gain when this creature dies. Manifest the top card of your library. Right now, it's a 5-mana 4/4. They brought a 2/2 along with it.
I suspect this card's going to be very challenging to defeat in Limited.
I think I'm right there with you.
Okay. Yeah, I you know.
Elspeth going up. 3 more soldiers. Another Elspeth in Musser's hand. Gonna do some math, trying to figure out is there any way he can get the game over with right now. There's 6 mana. Replacement Elspeth. Minus. There goes Whisperwood. Here comes an attack. We'll see where it's going. Yep, there's a blocker. Damage going to come across. Looks like Bowman's going to go down to 3. Again, daring Jeremy to do his worst with that Ajani. Abzan Charm the draw.
Also keep in mind, Dan has to respect the possibility that Manifest card is a Siege Rhino. A Trampler that gets turned face up here is really bad if Dan is not careful about how he blocks.
It is turn 0 now. Time is up. But we should get a conclusion to what has been a very, very good match to watch. See Bowman's hand, 2 copies of Abzan Charm along with the Courser of Krufix. Very powerful cards, to be sure. Johnny gonna tick up. Red zone. Well, this'll make you think about it. You see, he's gonna do that. How many creatures am I supposed to block with?
He has to block with everything if he's respecting Siege Rhino.
Yep. Wow, and it was a Rhino. Wow.
But that's
not going to be enough. And that is going to do it. Dan Musser is going to win this match over Jeremy Bowman. It actually was a Siege Rhino. If Dan blocks incorrectly there, he loses the game.
Wow. I mean, you can see Jeremy was trying to find something that would allow him to conceal it. You know, if he has another land in play or maybe 2 lands in play, he's short that he can attack. And then Abzan Charm and unmorph the Siege Rhino. As it stood, Dan knew what the card he had to worry about was. He was actually down there, but made the right block, and now moving on to the top 8.
Yes, sir. Moves on to 12 and 2. He'll be able to draw in. That puts 4 people into our top 8. And what a top 8 it is looking like right now. You've got Gerard Fabiano, Alian Trazi. You throw in